champ is here. The 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 champ is here.
Welcome to State Champions Podcast, where it is always a celebration. On State Champions Podcast, we discuss people, politics, community, and culture. What would a podcast be? With two great friends, a former coach, a current coach, former high school teammates that won not one but two Class A state championships here in Detroit, Michigan. Be without us discussing sports. I am your co-captain, and to my left, to your right, my main man, George T. Ward. How you doing, boy?
Man, you know I'm good, man. How you feeling?
We got a great show. It's gonna go down, but
Ain't no question.
so what's going on with you, man?
Man, ain't nothing to it. You know, the school year.
Yeah,
School year is, it's starting. So we've been in the building. I think it's a great time, but it's also a time where we can kind of see what's been going on inside our homes and everything. I like to see the young people smiling. They kind of a little sad. They got to get up a little earlier now, man. I know that's going to be a transition for them, but, and the adults too. So it's been good, though. Cross-country season for those, basketball wizards out here. We already understand. We've been on the track running, getting it in. So it's been a good time, man. Looking forward to it. I love the fall. I love football season, so we about to get after it.
Oh, we gonna make sure we get you on record again.
Yeah.
About football and the Lions. But if it's your first time tuning into the show, make sure that you follow us on TikTok, IG, SCP_313. Definitely go to YouTube, subscribe, like, so y'all can get all the information that y'all need about any upcoming shows. We doing a great job. We need more followers to learn about these topics, get all this good information that we have all the time. So what I was thinking, G, we got to make sure that we can get we're supposed to get Derek Jefferson on the phone. I don't know if he's going to call because this show is sponsored by the Detroit Public School Legends Game.
Yeah,
the Legends Game, and it is going down September
2nd at SC.
At SC.
3030 Fairview, baby.
3030 Fairview.
3030 Fairview.
And so just making sure that everybody come out. Gee, what the roster is loaded this year, man.
Roster loaded.
Man, who on that East squad?
Well, the East, I just saw the big fella the other day, Mr. Basketball, man. Good to see him. Derek Nix, obviously Persian alum. He's playing with the East. K2. Bucket getting K2, University of Georgia, obviously Detroit Northern alum. The one and only. I don't even know why he keep getting on the East, but I guess because he went to Murray, man. People kind of forget geography a little bit. Joe Blank, Finkel Ave, man. K Felder, man. He playing Persian, and then again we got Darnell Dickerson, one of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen in the state of Michigan, and last but not least, we got the point guard himself. Hall of Fame coach, hell of a player, Mark the Wizard, Mark White.
Man, well, I'm gonna tell you, G, I think the West loaded too now.
Oh, ain't no question.
The West is loaded. Now they got Carlos Rogers, Northwestern's finest.
Tennessee's Lowe's playing this year.
He said he playing. So it was a plan. It was a plan for me, him, and Beetle to play this year, but Beetle had to get his hip replaced. they got the big fella. He coming out to play Tennessee State's finals,
Yeah.
Toronto Raptor.
Yeah, yeah.
Three Southwestern guys. I don't understand why this year should have been 3 Cooley guys.
Yeah, okay.
At least 3 Cooley guys since
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
the 35th year of the state championship run, 3 times.
We do need to remind them of that.
We need to
They
remind
know.
them.
No,
of that.
they know. So, it ain't
So,
nothing to say.
on 3 guys from Southwestern. My guy A Hunt.
Mhm.
They said he gonna be there.
Yeah.
Our guy Terrence Wheeler.
Yeah,
gonna be- Wheeler.
T. Wheeler.
And now they telling me.
Man, Vo, man.
They telling me that Voshon Leonard say he
Man,
playing
Vo.
this year. I don't believe it. I'm not gonna believe it until I see it.
Hey, whoever next to Vo, wherever he is, I don't want to throw out some areas where he may be right now.
You
But
should.
if you
I know where he probably at Teresa. Come on,
Vo
where we
at Riri's right now.
go? Or he could be over Dirk
could-
House.
He could be over Dirt Creek, or none other Kelly Park.
He could. Oh yeah, he could be back
Nah,
there.
but if you standing next to Vo, ask Vo, say, man, G Ward and Ralph want to know, man, State Champions Podcast, are you playing or not, man? Or should we take your name off the marquee?
Well, and I'm only saying that because they need some guards. See,
Yeah.
and I forget that you got Blankenship on the other side. You got
Yeah.
K2 over there
Yeah, no.
on the east, and so this is why me and Beetle said we was gonna come back.
But
and
you
play.
said Beetle got his hip replaced.
yeah, but that was like a year ago. But
What
Beetle,
Beetle hip got to do with you?
because man, I need another guard with me, man. I need
Hold on,
another
wait a
guard.
minute, man.
I do.
No,
I can't be the only guard out there, man.
No, man.
Blank
All
gonna
right.
be trying to pressure me, man.
No,
too
he
much.
not.
He would
Now,
be.
if Keith Bates playing there, you do. Hey, man, if Bingo playing, Bingo still running the run and jump, man, from Southwestern, man, in 81, 82, man. Damn.
Mm-hmm. No,
So-
I mean he doing his thing. He got to do that. But I
Yeah.
think for everybody who don't know, we will be at the game.
Oh,
We're gonna do
man.
the State Champions podcast.
State Champions Podcast.
At
We'll
the
be in the
game.
building.
Be in the building for
30,
sure.
30 Fairview. And, you look around. When y'all come in there, though, the one thing I want you to do is pay homage to what was really going on at 30 Fairview a few years back. Look at the banners. Look at everything that was done over
Is-
there, man.
Who was coaching over there?
Damn.
Was it you?
My man over at State Champions Podcast. Yeah, G Wiz.
Did you ever get a state champion?
No, I lost too. So I'm terrible. Lost
Okay.
too.
I just want to know.
But
what
I'm
you-
just saying, before that,
Mhm.
the Southeastern Jungleers, Dirty 30, my guys, my people, and they had some hell of a talent over there. They had never gotten past the quarterfinals.
Mhm.
We went to 2 state championship games.
No, y'all was cold. Y'all was doing your thing.
Come on now.
But make sure that everybody know that this benefit game is going to benefit the Derek Jefferson Foundation.
yeah,
And so make sure everybody comes out, support, see some of the old legends.
yeah.
And it's going to be a great game. I haven't attended in the last, I think he's been doing it now for about 4.
Yeah,
It's pre-pandemic, right?
yeah.
And he was doing the game.
Yes.
And so, but next year, I think I might give it one last shot.
Yes.
Just one last shot.
Okay.
But make sure everybody
All right.
come out to that game. And he told me to tell everybody that you have to be there on time, players, 4 o'clock, because they only had the gym for so many hours.
Yeah.
And they got to make sure they get in and get out. We got to get there. So I suggest the guys who going to be playing.
Get there at 3
about
o'clock.
3
man.
o'clock. Get there.
Get 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Got to
man.
get warmed up and everything.
get
Big-
y'all
we
set
can't.
stressed
We
up.
forgot Big D playing too.
Big D playing. Big
Big
D.
D playing. He got to get warmed up.
Big D weigh 405, man.
Yeah.
Strong as an ox, man. You seen him lately?
Yeah, I seen
I
him
know he
later.
did, man.
Yeah,
Damn.
man.
You
So,
got to stretch.
but yeah. So DJ Hikari couldn't call in. I don't know what he's doing, but anyway, make sure y'all coming out to that game.
Mm-hmm.
Southeastern High School, September 2nd, 4 o'clock, PSL Legends game. It's going to be a great event. We'll see y'all there. That'll be
September 2nd, Saturday.
There you go.
September 2nd, the Saturday before Labor Day. We're going to have some fun with this thing, man.
okay. Absolutely. You're going to have some fun with it. So now, G, I think it's really time for us. Stop wasting time. We're going to get to, before we get to the real subject matter,
Mm-hmm.
because I do want to talk about this. I noticed, because after the Lions won that first game preseason, y'all was all excited. Now y'all ain't say nothing about the game the other day, and because this weekend is the last preseason game. Why you ain't say nothing about the game the other day?
I wasn't excited at all about a preseason game. So, I don't know where that came from, man.
You and Emmanuel Dooley was all the preseason
Well,
don't mean nothing. The games don't matter
well-
in August. Well, the other team was playing in August too. They wasn't playing it like they was in December.
Right. Absolutely. So, I get it. The Lions and everybody, And again, I am not a Lions fan. I don't own a Lions jersey, any of that. But I will say, they are Detroit's football team, and they haven't been really displaying that over the last 30 years or so, but they got a good shot. And again, I'm going to stick to it minimally. They're going to be 11-6.
No. See,
I said minimally. They're going to be 11-6, but I'm saying
so what? So that's what I want to know. What's going to be the rule when they don't get there? What you going to wear?
When I'm aware,
because you said I gotta wear a Lions jersey.
You gotta wear a Lions jersey. If they win 11 games, you gotta wear. No,
it was not even. See, can we play the tape back? It was not. It was 12. You said 12 games.
I said 12-5.
And
if they win 11 games, man, you're gonna be. There's gonna be a lot of days you're gonna be sick around here, and you're gonna burn up the brisket and the wings on purpose.
Man, listen, what's gonna be the bet if they don't get there and they don't have 12 wins? What you gonna wear?
What am I going to wear? Man, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna wear. I'm gonna wear your Elway jersey, man. Since you love the Elway so much back in the day. Look at Quincy told me he got a picture of me in Lions gear. Yeah, I did that, man, because the Lions gave us some gear and DPS. They gave us some stuff, and it was kind of clever. And if it's free, it's for G.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna suggest because I'm sure because Elway not my team no more. So Brady retired.
So who's your team now?
I don't have no team.
You always wait, man. You know what? Hey, man, you like people were when they was kids. They'll start rooting till about the third quarter to see who winning every time. So you gonna wait week 12 because this is what you gonna do. Week 12. Now I'm telling y'all right now. Rav gonna say, "See, I told y'all week 1. I wrote it down." And see, he'll go back to his notebook and write something down before we get to talking. And you would say, "Man, I picked the card." I got a bet. Here's what I suggest. What?
You know how the fans be going crazy?
Yeah.
And they had their shirts off. That's what my bet is. You got to come on and do the show with your shirt off.
No, I'm not doing it. Well, if that's the case. I mean, I done had my shirt off before, though. So
I'm saying you do your shirt off. I'm saying. Yeah. Like the rowdy fans.
As long as I ain't got to shave the hair off my chest, man.
You just got to wear your new shirt off. You don't get to show the fans. And the fans in Kansas City and the line, they had a shirt.
Ain't no question. Because Buffalo, KC, hey, so it is what it is. 12-5, man. I'm saying minimally they'll be 11-6. Minimally.
All right. So we gonna get started with this real topic of discussion. I mean, this is a courageous conversation that we must have, G, and we definitely have a special guest that's in the building. When we get this lady on the set, y'all gonna be very, very happy about that. Y'all gonna get a chance to see who she is. But we got to talk about this. Make sure you call all your family, uncles, brothers, cousins, sisters, aunties, fathers, mothers, because this is a topic that we must discuss. And make sure that you even have the number 313-458-4445. Make sure you get that number because we want y'all to call in. Y'all can get in the chat, but it's just so much better when you call in and you can ask a question.
Ralph, they need to hear that number again because, and I want our family. We don't even like to look at y'all as viewers. I want our family to understand how important this is. And I think we put too much thought in our topics for us not to participate, for us not to really tune in and see what's going on. And we can't continue to move as if we don't see what's happening in our community. We can't continue to do it. And if we're not acknowledging what's going on, that means we're not talking about it. So again, this is an opportunity for us to talk about it. And let's call in 313-458-4445. Make sure we call in. Let's have some fun with this thing tonight,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's going to be a great show. Can you put her picture up on the screen for me, please?
Yeah, we want Kalima's picture. We want the picture up. And we want all of our people to really pay attention because this is an expert.
Absolutely.
This is an expert.
Absolutely.
And she really knows exactly what's going on out here in our community. She services a lot of people. We're going to let her, give her side of the story in her bio. And trust me when we tell you, we didn't have her come on just because we needed someone to fill a space.
All right. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Khalima, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. And you know the greeting how it goes in Detroit. What up, though?
What up, though? What up,
You know
though?
how I go. What up, though? So, you want to give a little background on
Yes, we
Khalima?
do.
Yeah,
Yes,
go
we
ahead. Give
do.
a little background on what she does and everything
Well,
in the community.
We have none other than Khalima Johnson here, who is obviously the founder, executive director of the Sasha Center. We're gonna let her tell exactly what the Sasha Center is, how it came about, all of that good stuff. But Khalima has a MSW from Wayne State University. She also has a master's of arts with the focus on English literature. That goes to show her depth and her versatility. But Khalima, I met her, ironically enough, her growing up 5 blocks from me, which we just kind of figured this out today.
Tonight. Wow.
But Khalima grew up literally down the street from me. But we met in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay.
She was working for the NBA, and she's been doing that, but she was counseling. Really, she was there to counsel the young men. And every young person that you see that has probably gotten into the NBA in the last, I guess, 9 to 10 years, she's had some impact on them, from the rookie transition program to the NBA Top 100 camp. She also works for the NHL. She works for the NFL as well. Just doing a variety of things and showing her expertise to a lot of these men. But she was speaking to the campers. But as I listened to her talk, she was talking to me. She was talking to the other adults that were there as well. And she was amazing. And it was amazing when I met her, when we had a chance to embrace and talk. We just knew we were kindred spirits. But I was amazed at her enthusiasm for a subject matter. But not only that, her knowledge base and her beauty are definitely matched. So none other than Khalima Johnson, Detroit's own Khalima Johnson. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, George. I appreciate that. And I'm certainly glad to be here. The Sasha Center has been around for 13 years now. And Sasha stands for Sexual Assault Services for Holistic Healing and Awareness. And at the Sasha Center, what we do is we provide support group services, community involvement, engagement, education, and workshops and trainings for those who are interested in talking about what sexual assault looks like in the Black community. So we provide support groups and we have conversations. And so in the 13 years that I've been doing Sasha Center and engaging men at the same time,
wow.
Before we even get deeper into this conversation, I think there's some positions that you all need to know and that the listeners need to know. Number one, at the Sasha Center, we believe that most men do not commit these kinds of crimes. Most men would never do it.
That's right.
And we know that as Black folks doing this work, we can't do it without our men. And so we always look at it as an opportunity to work side by side. And George, we talk about this all the time. We really want to focus on good men who would never commit these kinds of crimes so that they can talk to the men they know who are at risk. And a lot of times when men reach out to us to talk to us about this stuff at the Sasha Center, they don't say, hey, I've been sexually assaulted. Some of them may have. 1 out of 7 men have experienced some kind of sexual trauma before the age of 18. So when they come to us, though, the first thing that brothers will say is that they love somebody who's been assaulted, or they love somebody who has is dealing with a violent or gender-based type of relationship issue, and that they want to know how to better help. I mean, I've had groups of leadership men reach out and say, hey, we got a brother in the neighborhood that's problematic. We are not about to call the police, so we need to figure out how to work with this guy.
How we can help him.
Exactly. And so that's what happens at the Sasha Center. And I think it's important that we frame it that way as we talk about this.
I love it.
And the other piece that I think is extremely important is that the men who do commit these kinds of crimes don't commit these kinds of crimes against just one person.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it is cyclical, it is serial, and it continues on and on. So you got fewer men committing most of these crimes.
There you go.
Okay. So I really wanted to make sure that we said that first. And another thing about when we met, George, I knew I met a friend. And as soon as they told me he was from the D, I was like, oh, that's what's up. And we're going to connect. And the work that I've done in that space, there's a lot of other underlying things that we must address in our community in order to change the problem that we're coming to talk about tonight.
Wow.
And I'll stop there. But I really hope that this conversation will provide folks with some takeaways.
There we go.
It's my hope that this conversation will change your mind about the way you think, feel, and behave. and the decisions you make and how you show up for each other.
Wow.
Because we can't stop violence against Black women, particularly until men start talking.
Oh, absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely.
Mm.
So and that's absolutely. So that's a great segue, because when we think about what has happened in the past few weeks, and it's just obviously it's been a uptick in violence,
No question.
domestic
has been.
violence against young women or women, period, and been killed. And it's
Reported.
recorded.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that.
Uh-huh.
So what we're saying, so obviously we're saying we're not getting all the numbers.
No.
Oh yeah, of course.
We're
Absolutely.
just talking about those that have been reported.
that's been reported.
Go ahead, bro.
So with that, when you see that, when you run into those young ladies or whomever it may be that you
Mhm.
encounter, how do you deal with that, and how do you get them to become comfortable to talk to you and give them some advice to move away from that relationship?
Mm.
That's so interesting because here's the deal. We have to really think about the dynamics that exist in the Black family in general
Okay.
to begin to talk about silence breaking.
Mhm.
So we didn't ask to be here.
Uh-huh.
We were forced here and enslaved.
Mhm.
And as a result of that experience, there have been generational messages that we have carried on to now. One of the main things I want you all to understand is that Black women never had the option to use the word no when it came to having access to anybody as slaves.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's part of the problem. And the other part of the problem is that we live in communities that are over policed. And because we're over policed, a lot of women aren't contacting the police because we are afraid that when they show up, somebody might die.
Right.
And we just want the violence to stop. And so there's this burden for Black women to carry this
Mm.
secret to
Mhm.
their graves. Because what goes on in this house,
Stays in his house.
how you know that?
Because this is one thing that we teach in our classes. So it's called Code of the Streets.
Yeah.
So when I'm
Absolutely.
teaching it to the young people,
Snitches get what?
Stitches.
We talk about it all the time.
We talk about these things all the time. So to your
That
point,
has a huge impact on gender-based violence in our community.
Mhm.
Because if you're not supposed to tell, you're not supposed to snitch, you're not supposed to make the family name bad, you got to keep the secrets, you got to hold it in, you got to carry it all. That creates an issue of trust
Absolutely.
to even begin to try to disclose that there's something happening.
Mhm.
But I also want to talk about the socialization of men. I am so glad I was not born a man, because
Why-
the
why is
minute
that?
y'all are born, there's a set of expectations for you.
Absolutely.
And some of these expectations are unrealistic,
Mhm.
they are
Absolutely.
stereotypical,
Mhm.
they are unfair.
Mhm.
Wow.
Name a few.
Wow.
Just name a few.
Oh,
Don't cry.
Don't cry. That's number one. What else?
What else would you say, G?
Just provide. I mean, just certain.
You got to be a
things.
protector.
You got to be the protector.
You got to be a provider.
Gotta
You
be
must
that.
be, and it's crazy because in listening to you say that, we talk about, well, granddaddy paid all the bills and all, that expectation, and you gotta get up. You can't be weak. You can't show any weakness.
You can't show no weakness, and you can't ask for help.
and you can't ask for no help.
You better work it out. Suck it up.
Mhm.
Don't cry.
And that's impacted.
strong.
That's impacted all of us.
Have all the hoes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
got it, yeah.
all the money,
Uh-huh.
all the
Yeah.
cars, all the houses, and you are not even allowed to express yourself emotionally unless it's anger.
Oh,
That is
absolutely.
rewarded,
Oh,
It's especially
respected, celebrated.
oh, absolutely.
And so if you're that way, and that's the way you've been raised, and it's not your fault, and this came from the fathers before you and the fathers before you, and the women reinforce this sometimes as well
Absolutely.
by demanding certain things from certain people.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, it's nothing wrong with being a man. There's nothing wrong with being a provider and a protector, but you have to strike a balance. And right now in this society, there is no example of a balance. I have worked with G League players who don't make enough money, and they go home in the summertime and they sell dope trying to be a provider.
Wow.
Say this again. Khalima, I need you to say that again, because
And it's not even just in the league. It's
it's
it's all over, where there's a pressure for Black brothers and men, because that's what I'm talking about right now, to not strike a balance of what manhood is really supposed to look like that's healthy. And so if you can't ask for help, if you can't cry, if you got to have all these things that you got to fit into this box that was created about you before you even born, how are you going to maintain a healthy relationship? How are you going to manage your own emotions and your own feelings
Wow.
if somebody is telling you that it's weak and it's punk ass to do it?
Very interesting. I got a question for you.
Mhm.
So, and going back,
Which puts y'all at risk.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, and to your point, I've always said this when I'm talking to the young people at the school. I always tell them, I say, one thing that for certain, we've been taught everything as young men: sell dope, get guns, do everything that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
No such instructions on emotional intelligence.
No.
None whatsoever. So,
Let me ask you this,
mhm,
because I really feel what you're saying right now, right?
mhm.
What toys did you play with as a
G.I.
child
Joe.
that taught you
Guns.
how to be a father,
None.
how to be a husband,
Uh-uh.
how to be a truth teller?
Ain't no such animal.
Yeah, but me as a woman standing here, I got
Easy bake ovens.
all that.
Yeah.
I know how to make a home. I
Yeah.
got baby dolls. I'm changing diapers.
Yeah, I
I'm
was just about to
Braiding
say.
cleaning
hair.
up.
Uh-huh.
All these things. And so we were born into this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And the question is, if we're going to stop violence the way that we've been seeing it,
absolutely.
how do we push back from that? And another piece that I really want to be clear about, right?
Mhm.
We can't gender violence in families.
Mm.
Because some women, when they commit violence against their male partners, usually, not all the time, but usually it's to retaliate, but it is more deadly when
yeah.
it happens.
Oh yeah.
And then we can't gender it because sometimes men are victims as well. And then the Black community really can't gender it because it happens in the LGBTQI community as well.
All over.
All over. And so the kind of love that we need to start embracing to stop the violence and to have these difficult conversations is that as Black people, we can't afford to throw nobody away. Matter of fact, we not gonna throw nobody away, which is why there's so many Black women in this city that can tell you that they done had to break bread with an uncle or auntie for 30 years after she touched her.
I'm gonna tell you, Clint, I'm gonna disagree with some of these jokers. I want because they, and here's the reason why I want, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when that happens, see, the physical scars will go away
Yeah.
sooner than anything, but the psychological scars.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking to my young guys when we're doing our sessions at the Brotherhood at the different schools. I say, fellas, what you have to realize is, okay, if you treat this young lady as a doorknob, do you realize that she is probably a good girl? But what happens, you damage her for the rest of her life. So when she becomes 25, 26 years old, she can't even function properly in a good relationship because what you have done, because you and your homeboys have taught her like she's nothing.
Yeah.
And so not all those young guys we got to throw away, but I just be thinking, man, you cannot continue to be this way because we are the ones who are actually damaging our women.
I'm gonna bring this up. I think it's important. I think you're making a great point. As a Black feminist scholar, which I call myself every day, and I know a lot of Black men think Black feminists are horrible and they think it's a cuss word and they think we all lesbians, and I get it. But y'all got to understand, Black feminist scholars coined the term Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
There would be no Black Lives Matter if it wasn't for Black feminist scholars. Black feminist scholars also understand that we can't do this work without our brothers. We can't. And I was going to say, more importantly, is that if we don't talk about the impact of slavery, and if we don't talk about the impact of post-traumatic slave syndrome, which is a phrase that was coined by Dr. Joy DeGruy, we are missing the point.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you talk about young men, we also have to talk about the middle-aged men, and we also have to talk about the older men, and we also have to talk about the whole community, because they're getting it from somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're getting it from places, not even places we can control. Social media, music, movies, television, memes, all the stuff that they have to take in. I couldn't be a kid at this time.
Oh, no.
No, it's
I
tough.
couldn't do it. But what really is starting to boil and what's really happening, I think the pandemic has a huge impact
Oh, no question.
on what happened or what has been happening and why there's an uptick in reports. I also think that in our communities, we haven't really had the nerve, like the two of you grown men up here doing, to talk about the taboo
Yeah.
of domestic violence and to talk about the taboo of sexual assault. I think that as a community, we have to really begin to talk with each other and with the notion of taking care of each other. You know what? I don't want to hear 3 things ever again. If we could change it on this podcast
What?
today, I don't want to hear men or women referencing each other as males or females,
Mhm.
because that really is dehumanizing. We have to stop doing that.
Why so?
Will you call your mama a female?
Well, that's what I mean.
I mean, scientifically, you would.
Yeah,
But
that's
when we're
yeah.
having basic conversations, I'm about to go check these females out. Oh, it's just
Oh,
this
no,
yeah,
female.
that's what you're saying,
Oh,
yeah.
this female
Uh-huh.
or it is male. And sometimes it translates for us. We might say dude or something like that. But
Yeah,
what
no
we are
question.
doing is dehumanizing folks. And if we dehumanize people, then that means we can treat them any old kind of way. And I want us to move beyond giving examples to other people. What if that was your mother? What if that was your sister? What about the fact that that person is human and breathing?
Yeah. So it's not, yeah.
That there's a level of respect. And sometimes people show up in the world doing all kind of stuff, but it's not permission to allow more harm to occur. But we're doing it every day.
Yeah. But my thing, and you know, going back to what Raph was saying, for me, Kalima, in certain instances, so when you get an opportunity to talk to these men, or prior to something, you know, crazy happening, you know, as we've seen lately,
Yeah.
what kind of tools would you suggest that we use, that we start doing as these young men are, you know, growing up, so we don't see so much violence and so much killing? And why do you think now this thing has gotten to murder?
Yeah.
Why is it that now all of a sudden now our young people, it's become commonplace? As we've talked about it, it's like, okay, well, I saw somebody, they killed their ex-girlfriend or they killed their ex-wife. Do you realize some of these young people almost look at it as if it's almost not newsworthy anymore? So what can we do to build into their emotional intelligence? Because until we do that, we're going to have these discussions.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And I think you're absolutely right. And I agree with you 100%. I think as a community together and as a whole, what we can do is, the first thing we need to do is recognize how we got here. And how we got here is through socialization. And that socialization has made us think that we have to show up in the world a certain way,
Mhm.
which means we can't be hard, we can't cry, we can't do these things, we can't ask for help, we can't do all that. The second thing I think that we need to do is really identify and help men be able to express their emotions without attaching it to being afraid of being called gay or sissy or weak.
Mhm.
And I think we go through a whole lot to make sure that no one thinks that we're weak. And that has to be addressed. And then we got to give brothers space to breathe and be themselves and to ask for help without, I see it all the time. I could be in a locker room with 12 guys and a guy in the room look like he about to cry, and the other guy be like, man up, don't do that, hitting them and pushing them and like,
Mhm.
chuck it up, get it together. It's not, because if he's weak, then maybe I might get permission to be weak. And then I don't want to be weak in front of anybody because I'm afraid it's going to cause some harm. And so we keep showing up like that. And then, God forbid, I've heard this and I've seen it and it's not good, where you have women who are involved in relationships with men who use the same tactics that have been used for men to socialize them into what they think a manhood is that's not healthy. They use it against them. Oh, you're not a provider, so that means you're weak. Or you can't do this, so that means you're not worth a man. You're only half a man because you can only do this. You don't have a house, you don't have this, you don't have that. And so I think that we as a whole have to redefine what it means to be human, redefine what it means to be in relationship, redefine what it means to express love, redefine and really embrace that. And we have put our own selves in prison. And we have to free ourselves from that. And we can free ourselves from that by having conversations, by getting help, by getting therapy, by allowing people to be who they are. I think there's a lot of fear running around, like that girl that was murdered in Grand Rapids, God rest her soul. There's a whole lot of rumors out in the internet world that she was divorcing him because he was in a relationship with a man.
Okay.
And I think that his fear
he killed her for that.
to silence her, sure, because he was so afraid of people finding that out. And his fear is not justifiable. What he did was not justifiable. But in our community, and the way that we treat people who are different in that way causes us harm. And we got to stop.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this in terms of going back to, and I'm just kind of thinking about a couple of things.
Take your time.
We have to do, and because we still have to have some accountability and responsibility along the way.
Yes.
So, and I know things happen along the way with different people, but our parents, kids are coming up, young men in particular that I'm speaking about, they're coming up, no accountability, no responsibility. It's no longer the helicopter parent. It's what I call the snowplow parent.
Right.
Push everything out the way. You don't have to deal with anything. So then when you come and there's some rejection or there's some type of an issue where you have been rejected by some lady, and then you decide you're going to kill her like the young man did on the east side, where they were on their way to court that morning, divorce hearing.
Yep.
Showed up at 7:45 in the morning and decided he was going to kill her. Those type of things, I definitely think that we still have to get that accountability and responsibility back on those young men early on.
No question.
Early on.
Absolutely.
To get those young men in the space and getting them to understand it's okay to have your feelings and to say, dang, it's okay if you skin your knee up and it hurt, okay, you can cry.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that they also have this accountability and responsibility, because it's so needed, because when they don't have any type of a rejection early on, they get to a point
and that's the
and they decide they're going to kill a lady because she no longer wants to be with them. How do we improve on that as Black families and getting that back together where we can do things and change that mindset?
Because we're holding our girls more accountable than we do our boys.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And we're not holding folks accountable in love. We're holding folks accountable in you should be punished. You are no good. You can't get better. The bottom line is we have to start, and I think that these are hard questions. I don't have all the answers. What I know for a fact is that if we don't start allowing and making space for young men and boys to be vulnerable,
Safe
to
spaces.
be afraid, to say how they feel, to love them anyway, to give them the opportunity to express their anger in creative ways, like through sports and working out and through, just whatever they need to do that's not attached to some kind of violence or a gun or cussing rap lyrics or whatever it is, but really delivering them and giving them other options to work through these things. So one of the things I want to say too, and I'm gonna give a shout out to my brothers, there is an organization called A Call to Men. And what they do is they engage men and boys to talk about their true feelings, to talk about what the pressures of life is like on them because of that fake facade about what it means to be a man. And when they're able to redefine their manhood, and when they're able to get out of the so-called man box, then they can start seeing people for the humanity, or for the humans that they are. Then they're able to see that they have their own value and worth. We got so many Black boys running around right now who don't think no one loves them. That's why they act the way they do. And I've seen it with my own eyes. You are making these decisions right now because you don't have anybody to answer to.
oh yeah.
You are making these kind of decisions right now because you think it's the right thing to do. You also are making these kind of decisions because you're trying to figure out what manhood is, because no one has taught you.
And you know what? You are absolutely right. But here we are again. And so I've seen, and I'm obviously you have too, where we have families, and these young men and they have families and people that love them. But at the same time, as Rafa said, we've kind of in some of those families, you kind of snowplow this thing, just kind of move it to the side and act as if it didn't happen.
Yes.
And then as these young people get older,
And they keep doing the same repeated behavior.
And see, this the crazy thing about it for me is, and again, as a man, I see it, and I see these young boys, and I see how it starts,
Yes.
and then I see how a lot of these things are handled, from just cussing the teacher out, from just there's no accountability, and so now they don't have to deal with too much adversity
Or consequences.
or consequences.
Mhm.
So now when the consequence hits, it's like, you know what, we're not going to be together anymore. And it's crazy because, you know, obviously having a son gone through it last year, heart got broken. I told him, I said, hey man, you know, you brought this on yourself too. You know, and speaking from a male's perspective, I'm man enough to say, listen, man, your dad has done this a few times in his life too.
Absolutely.
I've been hurt too, because damn it, I pretty much have hurt myself. They ended up making the decision,
Yeah.
but I did it to myself. But there's some accountability there, and it can't be, oh man, you know what? Hey, it's good. No, man, deal with yourself and understand how things got to go. But you cannot allow these young men to continue to walk through life and not deal with adversity. And the minute that it hits, because real life is going to hit them.
Thank you so much. Can I say, I think you're making a great point, but I also want to bring up something in our work around domestic violence and sexual assault. We have to really break down where that stems from.
Mhm.
Domestic violence and sexual assault is about power and control.
Absolutely.
And somebody wants to exert more power over someone else, and they use all kind of tactics. So a murder doesn't just happen out the blue.
Nope.
There has been all kinds of red flags and
yes.
opportunities and situations and cops called and family involved. And usually before a report of a domestic violence case gets to the police officers, there have been 7 incidents that have already occurred. Easy.
No
So we can't treat these things once we hear about them as if they are just situational. And I'm gonna tell you, there's something else that happens with the male species, with the men, is that there's this thing that you do to protect yourself, and it's called distancing.
Yep.
You distance yourself from having to do the emotional work. And so while we're talking about emotional immaturity or emotional capacity for young people, we have older men that we like our
Yes.
age and older,
Yes.
who also emotionally distance themselves, and they leave it to women to do all the emotional work. They don't want to have a conversation. They want to go to bed. They don't have a drink. They're not going to talk. They kick their dog, but they're not going to talk about trauma from when they were born,
When it started.
when they grew up,
Mhm.
and the trauma
Yeah.
that they're experiencing as they're
Yeah.
navigating everyday life, and the trauma that we all take in every day just from watching the news or from watching social media or giving. Where do Black men say they're afraid? Where?
Nowhere. So
And that's a
Yeah.
problem.
absolutely.
And that's why we have the issues that we have now.
Oh, of course. 313-458.
44, 45.
Make sure you call in. We gonna do our customary toast and keep this conversation moving. We're gonna do it to the courageous conversation
The courageous
about
conversation.
domestic violence,
Yeah.
sexual assault.
Sexual
And
assault,
so we gotta
yes.
keep it going.
Gender-based violence, intimate partner violence, and take a toast to that.
Oh, yeah. I do a lesson on that one as well. Intimate partner violence.
Yeah, to stop it and to
Absolutely.
thank you, and to make sure that we recognize when it's happening.
Oh yeah. See, that's
And-
that's what I want to get to.
Yes. Yes.
You are the expert in the field.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've seen thousands of cases.
I've done this work for 28 years.
28 years. So you're not a newbie. You ain't
And none of this is new.
none of this is new. So how do we get to that point of an understanding? Hey, here are some red flags. But I talk about with the kids, when you see these red flags, how do you get to that safe space where you can go tell somebody and let them know what's going on
Right.
without it being exposed? I think that's one of the bigger issues. I think you alluded to this about when we call the police, because we're afraid of the police and what's going to happen. We just want the violence to stop, but you call them, they're thinking they're going to do something to the person that I'm with. And now
They won't even stay in
They
jail
won't.
long enough.
exactly.
Personal
what do you-
protection
what do you got?
orders, they feel like are just pieces of paper.
That's all they are.
Here's what I want to say, and I really hope that y'all can pick up what I put down. if we teach our young people and each other how to center folks who are most vulnerable and giving them the opportunity to feel safe enough to say it,
Mhm.
that puts us in a position to help them better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so here's the deal. When you have folks that you're working with, and as long as I've been doing this work, it's a real serious job for people to change their attitudes and behaviors towards victims of crime and violence. There's a lot of victim blaming going on.
Mm.
So when there is a
When you
report,
say that, what do you mean when you say it's a
Yeah.
lot of victim blaming? What do you mean?
well,
So, but
when-
some people may not
Yeah,
be getting it.
specify.
oh, I got you. So help me put it down. Victim blaming is the business of blaming people when bad things happen to them.
Yep.
Now, let me explain what victim blaming does. If I can, one, find out the one thing you did wrong, I ain't got to help you.
Mhm.
Or if I find out what you did wrong and I identify as that's something I would never do, then I feel safer.
Mhm.
But what that leaves is for the victim or the person who has experienced this crime or this domestic violence or the sexual assault alone. And we want to distance ourselves because we don't want to have to deal with the shame and the guilt that comes with these kind of crimes.
Yeah.
Because the crimes are so personal. And you think it's easy to say, I'm a Black woman, I run a nonprofit organization for Black women who've been raped. And the conversations that I've had over the years, what do you mean? Black women ain't getting raped? Somebody told me that to my face.
No way.
And
No,
yeah,
no,
somebody
no.
famous. I won't say who. Black women ain't getting raped, and if they are, they lying. That's what he said.
Wow.
And I said, talk to your daughters.
I'm gonna one up you. I remember a case when I was in college and they were talking about it. Young lady was being sexually assaulted by a boyfriend. Of course, she was fearful, and it started when she was 12. She didn't tell her mother until she was 15.
Mhm.
The mother said, "You must have liked it." So you see
That's
how
victim blaming.
There you go. I understand clearly
Right.
what it is. So you're talking about creating these safe spaces, not only for the victim,
Mhm.
but for those offenders as well,
Mhm.
and making sure that we can get them to a space. Now, listen, this is what has happened. That it does not define you
Right.
Yes.
on either side.
Right. And then the other piece that I want to talk about is rape culture. We live in a society just like you are, like we're socialized to be what it means to be a man. We socialized to be trained about what it means to be a woman. All these things, you know, you're supposed to wear a dress, or you're supposed to be doing the dishes, or he's supposed to be taking out the garbage. All these things. It's how we have to live. But at the end of the day, sometimes we use these as dynamics and tools to have power and control over
Leverage.
people.
Okay.
And so rape culture is happening in this country every day, all day. And rape culture is where rape is considered funny, a joke,
Yep.
not real, something to laugh at or tease about.
Mhm.
I mean, and it starts even from like as early as talking to young men about consent. And so I don't know when was the last time y'all had a conversation with young boys or young men or young women for that matter of consent, teaching young women how to communicate clearly. See, so
Mhm.
sometimes we find ourselves as a woman, we damned if we do and we damned if we don't. I might go home with you and have sex with you like a wild animal. You might not call me tomorrow. Or I go and try to be the good girl and make you wait. You might not call me tomorrow.
Mhm.
So we got to figure that out. Like, what does that look like? And then have those full conversations and not be afraid to communicate clearly what we want and what we need. And so I will tell you this: no means no, but I'm not sure means no. Let's wait means no. I thought I was coming over here to Netflix and chill means no. If you don't have an emphatic yes, an ongoing yes,
Mhm.
enthusiastic yes, it's a no.
Oh, absolutely. So,
But if we don't hear that, right?
Mhm.
And what we're telling young boys is try harder. And we're telling young boys, get it as soon as you can. And you're telling young girls, don't ever give it away. We're creating
a monster.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Creating a monster.
Yeah.
So those conversations were just recent for me with the young girls
Yeah.
and the guys. So I have them all the time. And that is absolutely, if she says no, it is
Yeah,
no.
it's no.
If she hesitating, that don't mean push
That-
forward,
no,
boy.
No.
Because it
One
can-
and done.
Listen, if it's a one no, it's over. And so these are the conversations that we have with our young people in our city.
How do you think it's landing?
You know what? It's very interesting because those young people are very receptive because
Yes.
what I do, that's not the first conversation. It's a build up,
Absolutely.
relationship building.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then now I'm telling them things about me, situations, and I always do this one. Young ladies, you got to understand, boys and men, we're stupid. We do dumb things because we've been taught dumb things. So,
Yeah.
and so you open the girls up with that. Really, coach, you said you're dumb? Yes, I've done some dumb things, and I learned it when I was a young guy.
Sure.
And then we open up, and then we go back and
lets them
forth,
feel
and
more
it's
comfortable.
great conversation.
Good.
It's some of the
Sounds
best things,
great.
and I think they're very, very receptive to it. And I think they take away a lot of great information.
That's you introducing the vulnerability
There you
piece
go. Mhm.
Well, that's what it's all about.
and
but
modeling that.
I want to know, when we're talking about a day at the Sasha Center.
Yes.
So, give me an example of one of those days, one of those sessions. What does it look like
absolutely.
from this standpoint now?
And so
From the domestic violence, from the intimate partner violence standpoint.
Sure. So there's an intersection, right? At the
Mhm.
Sasha Center, we concentrate on sexual assault. However, we know that in domestic violence relationships, there
There you
is
go.
no options for consent and things like that. There are these power and control dynamics that exist, and that sexual assault actually happens within relationships. So a day at Sasha Center is very interesting. It depends on the day, but we run support groups for self-identified experiencers, right? So we have virtual groups that people can join. We have one on Tuesdays at 6:30. It's called Healing is Possible. We have another virtual group on Saturdays. It's for self-care, and that's at 1:00. Then we have a walking group, which is on Wednesday nights. Tonight we did that with survivors. And then we have these community engagements. And so we had a family fun day on Sunday at Detroit, Say Play Detroit on the east side with Mitch Album. We had this big event where our survivors and their partners and their supporters and their dads and everybody brought the kids, and we had a great time. Then we actually have a free trip. We're taking we're having yachting for a purpose. We're taking out all of our survivors and their families on a yacht September the 3rd. So we believe in engaging in joy. So our days look very different, but if it's not talking about how Black people heal, if it's not including humor, irony, and satire, if it's not giving them opportunities to break silence about their own experiences, then it's not the Sasha Center. Now, what I specifically want to talk to you all about is the way that our men engage with other men, because we have male facilitators at the Sasha Center. My lead male facilitators are Omari Barksdale and Dr.
Yes, sir.
Spencer Murray.
Omari Barksdale is my man. Tell him I said what's up. We went to Paris together.
Okay, all right,
that's my man. I know Omari Barksdale.
Yeah, he's been with the Sasha Center all 13 years. He used to be he was my founding board member.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
And he listen.
Wow.
Now hold on. If you knew him from Ferris, you know he didn't grow.
Trust me, if you say he had the Sasha Center, he had to grow to get there. Trust me, I know Omari very well.
I cannot wait till you see this. And he will tell you about that growth. And he shares his stories about how he transitioned from that. And I remember when I first met him, I met him in the poetry world. And I remember we were on a slam team together. And I remember one day I just pulled him to the side. It's his story. I hate to tell it right now, but I'm gonna have to pull my card. I had to stop him. I said, Omari, you can't kick everybody's ass. You just can't. Yeah. You got to have a conversation. You got to be able to talk to the brothers. You got to love on the brothers. You got to figure it out. And in that moment, he tells everybody, we were in Austin, Texas. He said that moment he began to change. And his growth has been exponential. But the other day, you know what he told me, and I needed to hear it, is that we are practicing. We are not perfect. We are trying our best to keep pushing back from these expectations and notions that keep us entrapped. And that's the only way we can really get through this. And so Omari does our groups. He's our lead facilitator. Dr. Spencer Murray, he does a facilitation with him. We're bringing on some new guys. Con Davidson is coming on. Calvin Siebert is coming on. I want y'all to come on because what y'all have to do is we have to begin to talk to these boys and have access. So we're starting a boys men's group at Say Play Detroit. It's going to be an after school program in the fall at Say Play on Van Dyke, where they're going to have these conversations about relationship safety and management. What it means to respect women and girls. How did we get here? Media literacy around. Just because you hear it in a song don't mean that really is happening for real in real life.
When you say young men, what age are we starting at?
13.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, we're starting at 13. And we will talk to men as old as 99. We don't care. What we know is in the Black community, we have not had a chance to have these kind of conversations. And we got to have them, and we have to continue to have them. So that's pretty much a day at the Sasha Center. But we also believe that culture cures, and we believe that history heals. And so we engage in cultural activities such as dancing and hula hooping and African drumming. I have wanted so bad, and I keep trying to figure out how to do it, is to have an African drum circle just for men so that they can talk. And at the Sasha Center, what we believe that there are certain phrases we don't say at the Sasha Center. Toxic masculinity, you cannot say that at the Sasha Center. You cannot use that kind of language, because it's really not about how toxic masculinity is. It's really more about how masculinity can be a benefit to us all. Absolutely. And how it can be healthy, and how those things can manifest, what does it mean to redefine who you are? And then not just redefine who you are on the inside, but just show it on the outside, and not care about what somebody in the next locker talking about.
Right. And display
and then being able to intervene and being able to say, listen, that's inappropriate. That's not right.
So that's that skill training and getting the young guys to buy into that plan. And so, and I when you just said that, it just gave me a thought. And so when we were coming up many, many years ago, it was a long time ago, I remember we were hanging out the basketball team, and there was no social media, obviously.
Right.
And so we would decide that we're going to go to McDonald's on Finkel, Wyoming, or we want bowling. We would do those things.
I used to work at that McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You was at Cooley, so you already knew we got busy up at
Not really.
Oh yeah, she's.
She wasn't really at Cooley.
2 days.
The point is, we were putting things together, and I remember a guy said to me, "Man, you don't never invite us to the events." It was him and his brothers. They were pretty wild, and it's like, man, y'all always gonna cause trouble. And my point in saying that is that having that conversation and being honest with him. I remember when he came, he was cool. And so I say that to say that we were the leaders before social media influencers. We were the influencer athletes. That is the key, in my opinion, to get to. And so that's what I'm working on, some things about that. But if you get the athletes, football, basketball players to get on board, you can start changing the landscape in a hurry.
Do you know how? That's my ask whenever I'm in a room full of athletes. Like, put this in your platform that you can talk about surviving healthy relationships, uplifting good relationships, uplifting your positive attitude towards women and girls, uplifting your manhood without putting somebody else down, feeling secure in your heterosexual way of being, and still be around and advocate for LGBTQI folks. We can't throw nobody away. We can't afford to throw people away. And I know that requires a lot of work. And I mean, Omari, I should have probably brought him on the show, but please have him on the show. Can you have him, Omari?
We'll get Omari.
Yes. Get Omari in here.
I'm sure I got
because he has spent a lot of time developing his craft and his conversations with men about making sure that men show up in ways where they don't have to expense anyone and still be a man.
Oh, ain't no question. That's the coolest part about being a real man.
You come in, you ain't gotta.
Hey, you do you. I'm doing my thing. I ain't gonna push over nobody. We gonna do our thing. Keep the train moving.
I can't tell y'all how important that is. And so at the Sasha Center, we talk about what's the good news. And we always ask, what's the good news? And sometimes people are in a position to say what the good news is, and sometimes they're trying to still get there. But one of the reasons why we ask that question is because we want people to recognize what they have already accomplished that they may not give themselves credit for. And what I want to say to you too, that this conversation is huge, it's big. And what you all are doing right now is probably history making. I don't believe I have ever, and I've been doing this work for 28 years, sit down in a space as beautiful as this, talking to two Black men from my own hometown about the issue of domestic violence and sexual assault from a perspective that honors my expertise, that also brings your own lived experiences into the room. And then also knowing that you all are well-meaning men wanting to change how men are showing up in the world because you love us.
I ain't no doubt about it. That's why when you talk about this, and call the men that organization. I'm just looking up, man, my brain going all over the place right now.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate what you just said. I definitely gonna accept my flowers.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
can
do.
still smell them. But
Yeah,
go ahead,
and
G. I know
I
you're
know-
about to say something.
Well, I think, the one thing that we have to do is we have to, it's crazy because Rap had it written down, the courageous conversation.
Yes.
And that those two words, that says a lot. And that's one of the greatest problems that we face today in our community.
Yes.
So every Wednesday we come on at 8:30 or so, and we try to have a courageous conversation. And the crazy part about this, the microcosm in our community is this: we don't want to have it.
Absolutely.
We don't.
not.
And so when I hear that there was reported, and you made a great point with that, 4 women killed by intimate partners or former ex-intimate partners within a 10-day frame, within one precinct. I ain't talking about the entire city, within one precinct in our city.
Yeah.
If that doesn't alarm anybody, if that doesn't make men say, hey, wait a damn minute,
Yeah, we're doing
we're
something
doing
wrong.
something wrong.
We need to have some
We
conversation.
need to have some real dialogue.
Yep.
So in our little small platform, we're gonna say, you know what? We got to talk about it. Unfortunately for us, as you said, and I told you, I talk about it. It's the Penn State versus State Penn theory. Do we really know what to celebrate? Do we really know what time and when it's time to celebrate and when it's time to put our feet down and say, wait a damn minute, enough is enough.
Right.
And until you said now, you can't do it without men, and we need some men to step forward. And what Amari is doing is great and all of that. But damn, fellas, how many of our women and our children? I saw something the other day, and I wanted to kill someone almost. Where the father, not want to kill him,
I know.
but I wanted to kill something.
Right.
I saw where the father is going to prison. He had been sexually abusing his daughter for over a decade.
Yep.
Okay.
No, it's here in Michigan.
No, I know, but this is what
It's real.
I was going to tell you this. See, some people need to be thrown.
Some
away.
people need to go.
That joker there in my
In my mind,
Absolutely.
I'm thinking
needs
to
to go.
myself. So, at what point, fellas? I get it. I know we got a lot of things to do. I know we got cars to drive. I know we just had the dream cruise. Man, at what point do you take your community over and say, man, enough is a damn enough? We can still have our fun, because trust me, we're gonna have our fun.
Oh, absolutely. I want some wine.
but
in a minute.
damn, are you gonna have some
wine?
wine?
Oh, you got some wine. But listen, because you're talking about this Sasha Center, I need to know where's it at,
Okay.
the
Right.
location, address, phone number. People need to know. They might be like, what's up? What's going on?
Oh, Raphael, I love you. You know the address is non-disclosed.
Oh,
That's
that
okay. But we got a phone number.
that is right.
We got a phone number. We got a phone number.
Come on, Peterson, what we
it's
doing?
all good. No,
Come on,
no.
what we doing,
I get
Peterson?
it. No, you just want to make sure we unpack the whole thing. So, we do have a web
Well,
address.
there you go. There you go.
Address.
Yeah, I'm here because that
It's-
is what we
it's-
had to have security on.
So
that.
we
That's-
maintain
that
our
privacy.
anonymity, right? We're anonymous all the way through. Our ladies, our men, you can feel safe once you reach out. I think that's the greatest thing about it.
Yes.
It's a safe space in the truest sense of the word. Continue on, baby.
Thank you. And I appreciate you saying that because we work really hard at that. And sometimes Black folks, it's our job to teach Black folks how to even be in safe space because it's rare.
Okay.
So you can go to our website. It's sashacenter.org, SASHA center.org.
All right,
Okay.
say it one more time. Say it slow because we got a new producer over there and they working on this
Yeah.
stuff. They trying to get it typed and they gonna run it across the screen. Now she doing a great
All right,
job.
let's
now.
do that.
She doing it. Say it again.
Got the visor on?
www.sasha, SASHA center, CENTER.org.
Oh, that was it.
So
Oh, but-
SashaCenter.org.
but you know-
that's sashacenter.org. And then we have a Facebook Sasha Center page. We have a Twitter. We have 2 Twitter pages.
Okay.
Okay.
One for the interns because they say I don't know how to tweet. whatever. And then we have an Instagram page where all of my staff, they are so good at engaging in that space. One of my best in the book is Tony Weaver.
Yeah.
She does the
Tony
best
Weaver.
in that.
I know her.
She's one of our facilitators. Larminder Davis is our program manager. And our phone number, I'm going to give it to you. Now, let me be clear. We are not a crisis hotline.
There you go.
I will make sure
I
that
love
you
it.
all download the crisis hotline.
I like that.
But our phone number is for you to call to reach out to inquire about, and we set you up in our groups.
Gotcha.
And we only do group therapy. We don't do individual therapy. One of the reasons
Love it.
why is that it's a culturally specific thing. We believe that Black communities heal together.
I love it.
And we believe that Black communities heal intergenerationally. So our phone number is 888-865-7055.
Say that one more time.
888-865-7055. And we really are about the business of helping people integrate traumatic experiences, especially when it comes to intimate partner violence and sexual assault. And so what we actually do is people will ask us, what makes us different from the mainstream programs, right? We partner with all the other mainstream programs. We've trained the prosecutor's office. We've done MCO's training. We've done all these things. But what makes us different is that we ask Black people, how and what do you need to heal? If that is prayer, we make sure you have that. You need a Bible, we make sure you have that. You need some Florida water, we make sure you have that. You need some crystals, we make sure you have that. You want a voodoo priestess, we can find one. We don't care. All we know is that Black people are not monolithic and that Black people get to healing in many different ways. You want to walk it out, you want to talk it out, you want to play basketball it out, whatever it is you want to do, drum it out, we got you. If you want to color it out, if you want to, engage in
Yell it out.
yeah, you
Break
want
some
to
China out.
you want to grow some watermelons and yams, we got you. Want to talk about chillings, we got you.
Love
Okay.
it.
And we're not going to judge you for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gee, I know you got something else, but
Well, you know what?
I love
do,
y'all.
I do. We love you too,
Thank
Queen.
you.
I'm gonna say this. Again, it was magical. I guess 2013, 14, whenever it was that we met, almost a decade ago.
wow.
I knew you were doing some great things. The level of greatness I didn't know. I just knew how great you were.
Oh,
But your actions are amazing.
Thank you.
I need people that viewed in. Kamiko Butler, Talonda, KG. I'm seeing you. Respond to things. Tell your friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell your young people though. So
No. Here's the G. I want to say this.
Yes,
This video, they should share this probably like 1 million times
absolutely.
for the people, because I know some people probably down at Shane Park.
Yeah. Oh no, they down
They
there.
down
They
there.
gigging.
Reshare the video so
Yeah.
tomorrow they can watch it, or tonight they can watch it again, because this information was definitely needed. Go ahead, G. I just wanted to add that.
No, hey, the conversation is needed,
Mhm.
and it's not just needed amongst adults.
right.
Our
Young
young, people.
people.
Our young people.
That's where it
Right.
starts
Our
at.
young people.
We can't be afraid to talk to them.
We can't be afraid to talk to them.
Ooh.
And
touch
the
them.
one thing that I'm gonna say, and I'll say this, and I've said it before, the life that we save is probably someone that's close to you.
Yep.
Now I want you to think about this. The life that we save is probably someone close to you. It could be your daughter, man. It could be somebody that your niece is talking to. It could be someone that your cousin is dealing with right now. Let's have our young people pay attention. Let's get our young men to the table. Let's talk to them. Let's get our young queens to the table and talk to them. And let's do better for ourselves. Let's do better for our community.
Well, Halima, we appreciate you coming on the
Thank
show.
you for
And
having
I'm
me.
telling you, it was a great conversation.
Oh, man.
I'm just hopeful
Oh, man.
that the video is shared a whole lot of times for a
Yeah.
whole lot of people to benefit from this conversation.
Thank you.
And it is needed,
Mhm.
and we have to continue to
Yes.
reinvent it,
Yes.
talk about it,
Yes.
come back with some spaghetti on it, do something,
Yeah.
jump rope
Yeah,
with it,
do something.
hopscotch, whatever we got to do,
Put
because
a great beat behind it. Or
they're
something.
great beat week, because these young people need our help. And of course, young people become old people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they need the help. So we start with our young people,
Come
and
on.
they can train some people. It's like train a trainer.
Yes.
and we keep it going, and we create this big old circle.
You said generations, right?
We
You
start
said-
small.
Next step, I'm reaching out.
Oh yeah, listen,
supposed to.
I'm telling you the key to it all. I'm telling you, sports teams, because they are the leads. I remember having that conversation with that guy, and I was thinking, dang, if I hadn't have said that, maybe him and his brothers would have came to our
Yeah.
events, would have caused
Would
problems.
have caused some problem.
But I told you we wasn't gonna cause no problem. I'm like, dang.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was easy.
No, that was
Yeah. You know,
That was lightweight.
but most people wouldn't say that.
No,
but
right? It was
we-
a courageous
There
conversation.
you go,
Yeah.
courageous conversation. So
Yeah.
we thank you for being on the show.
I
Thank you. We
We
appreciate you.
appreciate you.
And State Championships Podcast. We'll
Thank
see
you,
y'all in
listeners.
a couple weeks.
The champ is here.
Oh, I love it.
The champ is here. 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 The champ is here.
Friends. Yeah. He's been